Hello everyone and welcome to Tychus Teaches You Stuff. Today we're going to talk fletching. This is going to be a very quick bare bones guide to fletching wooden arrows. This will not be any of the adornments, the caps, the crazy woods, the painting, or the custom fletchings. This is going to be just to get you some bare ammunition that you can go out and use. I will make a part 2 of this video that will go through each of those customizations, how to use a paint stick versus a bottle of glue, how to use a fletching razor, as well as how to stick on caps or drill for arrowheads. This is going to be as quick as I can make it, and I will try not to drag it out very long. I hope you enjoy this, and let's get started. There are a handful of supplies that we'll need to get this project started. First off, we will need a hand axe, or something that inspects as a hand axe or a modified hand axe. We will need a dagger, and then you will need your bow. Whether if you're going to make arrows all the way through, you will need either a short bow or a long bow for arrows. You will need a heavy crossbow if you're planning on making heavy crossbow bolts. You will need a light crossbow if you plan on making light crossbow bolts, or you will need a finished dart if you're planning on making darts. So far, hand axe, dagger, and then some sort of a bow. You will need a supply of wood. In this case, this is a limb of wood that I purchased from the Fletcher shop, though the various firewood tents, usually somewhere outside of the cities, will also work. And then you will need a bottle of fletching glue and a bundle of fletchings. As previously mentioned, we're just making plain Jane arrows here, so we're not going to go through the adornment steps. I will do that in the part 2 of this video. First things first, we need to cut this limb of wood into usable shafts. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to get we'll pick up our hand axe first, make sure it's in the right hand, and then we need to get our wood, and then we are going to cut arrows from wood with hand axe. If you were planning on making heavy crossbow bolts, you'd replace arrow with heavy bolt. If you're going to make light crossbow bolts, you would replace it with light bolts, and darts would be darts. The noun for wood can change depending on where you got the wood, and a hand axe will be whatever noun your hand axe based will be. This is going to cut it into about a dozen sections for the limb of wood, or for the split logs that are available in the firewood tents. And some of the other ones, like I believe there is a stick and a branch that's also available at the Fletcher shop, and they make less. I also believe that crossbow bolts will take an additional amount of wood, so it cuts it into only 3 or 4 sections as opposed to a dozen. This step will always generate about 30 seconds of round time, though it is variable in that area. All right, so if we glance down now, you'll see that we have no longer a limb of wood, but we have a bundle of arrow shafts. So we are going to put the shafts down. I'm going to do this from the tabletop instead of out of a bunch of containers, but I am going to put this hand axe away so you don't have to look at it. All right, the next step's pretty easy. We need to get one shaft. From here on out, you're going to have to make sure and use the word my anytime you use shaft, because you now have single shafts and the bundles, and the game will get confused. And we will need our dagger. So we are going to cut my shaft with my dagger. This is the pairing step, and this will show you the quality of your arrow. If you're not a master already and you're just ranking up, this message will change to give you an idea of the quality of the arrow. I have all 500 ranks in fletching, so this is the messaging for a perfect arrow. And this arrow will give you a +5 to attack strength. We'll go over that in the end. This process generates lots of round time and lots of messaging. So this is not a quick process. It takes a few minutes to make an arrow just because of the round times, and I recommend you do it either at a table or at a room where there's not much traffic because the screen scroll can get a bit annoying. So we now have an arrow. So let's take a look at my shaft, and you'll see that the arrow has been pared down and smooth. That's the messaging for you've completed the first step on this. Each step along the process will tell you where you are if you look at an unfinished arrow. So this next step, we're going to cut nocks in my shaft with dagger. You're going to get, if we've not painted, and like I said, we're not going to do any adornments on this, you'll get a message here kind of instructing you that this would be where you apply paint. We're not going to do that, so you just have to double down on the messaging, and now you will cut nocks into the end of the shaft. Generates a bit more round time, not quite as long as some of them. All right, after we've pared down the arrow and we've cut nocks, we then have to measure it with our bow. So let's put down our dagger, get our bow, in this case a short bow, and then you're going to measure my shaft with bow. There we go, 5 more seconds of round time. It gives you the messaging that you're going to draw the bow, make a mark where the length should be. We're going to put the bow away. This is and now we need our dagger again, because we're going to cut the arrow to length at this point. So we're going to do the same message again. Cut my shaft with my dagger. Now you have marked it and you've cut it to length. This next step is the one where there's a little bit of time constraint, because we are going to put glue onto the shaft and then quickly put the glue down, pick up your fletchings, and stick the fletchings onto the glue before it dries. You're going to get round time between 10 and 15 seconds, and then you have about 10 or 15 seconds longer than that. I believe all of those times are variable. The glue seems to dry faster sometimes than others. But if you are one to make macros, this is the step where you would definitely make a macro to put down, pick up, and put on all in one smooth motion. So let's get our glue. We're going to put the glue on the shaft. See, I didn't put my in that one, and it tried to glue the entire stack of shafts. So there we go. I'm going to let this one dry so you can see what the messaging looks like, and we will try to stick fletchings on. Oh, I'm still in round time. I can't put anything down. There we go. Get fletchings, but I'm going to intentionally man, I'm just not doing well. And we're going to wait until the glue dries, and before I put these on, then you can see the messagings for a failure. It's not really a big deal, because all you have to do is put more glue on and try again. See, the arrow shaft is going to need fresh glue. So let's put these back down, and I'll show you success this time, as long as my fingers are going to work. Put those down, get the glue, put the glue on my shaft. There we go. Now we're going to put the glue down and get ready to. Like I said, you have about 10 seconds to put it down, pick up the fletchings, and then put the fletchings on for them to stick. You do have to wait until the glue dries before you can move on to the next step. Hey, there we got it this time. This is another 30 seconds of round time. So each of these steps has the chance to generate an artisan skill rank. I'm not sure if every step does, but I think there's about five or six chances in any given arrow for you to earn a rank. Normally, if you were just ranking up your fletching skill, you will just do the pairing and knocking portion, because it doesn't require anything but a dagger, and it's easy to repeat over and over again. Once you've cut nocks, all you would do is throw the arrow away, get a new shaft out, do it again. If you're using any of the common lich scripts, which I think the two right now are Samu and Samu2 and Fletching.lic. Both of those, if you click the rank up options, will just do the first two steps. Okay, we now have fletchings on my shaft. We're actually almost done. So let's put our fletchings down, pick up our dagger again, and then one last time we're going to cut my shaft with my dagger. All right, this is going to give you another one of the warnings for the adornments, because this would be the point where you either apply a cap or you're going to have to drill a hole and put an arrowhead on. But those are both unnecessary for what we're doing today, so we're just going to double down on the command, and that now finishes the arrow. If we glance down at our hands while we're at round time, you'll see that we no longer have a wooden arrow shaft, but we actually have a real wooden arrow. And if we look at the arrow, there's nothing fancy about this one. If we had done some adornments, you would see each of the adornments. I will touch on each of those adornments in a part 2 video. This was just supposed to be a bare bones guide on how to get from a log to an arrow in the simplest, smoothest fashion. And I just want to go over a little bit on what these mastercrafted arrows get you. A mastercrafted, I should say, any arrow that you make from the rank 1 artisan skill to the rank 500 artisan skill, it's going to get you a bonus of something. It might actually be a negative bonus. I believe early on they're actually a -5 to your AS, and then they range from -5 to +5 depending on where you are along the artisan, those 500 ranks of the artisan skill. The big benefit of these is you can take these +5 unenchanted arrows and get them E-bladed, which in essence gives you +25 flaring arrows. And if you incorporate that with a +25 bow, you've then hit the maximum of +50 to your AS. And this is by far the cheapest way to get a 10x weapon in the game, as opposed to trying to get an item enchanted all the way to 10x, or to find one that's previously been enchanted to 10x is extremely expensive, where 5x weapons or 5x bows and E-bladed +5 arrows are everywhere. Thank you everyone for watching this episode of Tychus Teaches You Stuff. I really hope you have enjoyed this and maybe learned something along the way. If that is the case, please like, subscribe, drop a comment down below so I know that you guys are enjoying these, and maybe give me a heads up on what you would like to see. Once again, this is Tychus, and I hope you have a great day.